being okay with the pivot and the flex, especially as the world is changing so quickly, technology is changing so quickly, how we run and operate businesses is changing every moment of every day. It's like exhausting to keep up with sometimes. So staying naturally curious and being okay with that flex, I think, will help people navigate those career transitions and find what they really what brings them joy.
Emily, welcome to our podcast, Grow Healthy, Help People. It's a podcast that Accordis puts on. We love talking to nonprofit leaders, and as you and I have been talking over the last few minutes, I realize you're leading nonprofits and various organizations. So good to see you this morning. Tell our folks that are listening, where are you calling in from? Where are you sitting today?
Yeah, well, thank you so much for having me. I'm always honored to be on podcasts like this and share a little bit about my journey. But I am calling in from Austin, Texas. And my name is Emily Gupton. I'm currently Chief Technology Officer of a company here in Austin called SKG, and sit on a few boards and serve the community and love what we do here.
Yeah. Awesome. So the primary organization that I reached out to you to say, hey, could you come talk to us about your leadership here is Austin Women in Technology. So give us a quick flyover. What does Austin Women in Technology, AWT, do day to day to serve women there in the technology space, even maybe beyond that space? Tell me a little bit more of the flyover of what you guys do.
Yeah, so we've been around for a long time, about 25 years now here in Austin, and grown tremendously in the COVID era and after that. But our 4 pillars for our community are connect, grow, learn, and lead. So we want women and allies to come into our space and really find, maybe they're trying to make their next career move, maybe they're trying to find a mentor, find support, find camaraderie, find other women that are on this journey, whether it's in development, UI, UX design, marketing, sales, whatever role that looks like for them, or trying to break into the technical space by providing rich programming, mentorship programs, connections with other groups in the community that could maybe support them on their journey. So that's what we do, and we love it so much.
That's great. My hope is that women don't ever have any obstacles and women don't ever have any hurdles to get over. That's just not reality. What are some of the obstacles and challenges that you think women in general may find, particularly in the technology spaces, are saying, I want to grow my career, I want to get into this space. How do I do that? What are some challenges that you see consistently?
Yeah, I think that ebbs and flows a little bit. Most recently, we've had a focus on young women that are, even before they get into college and secondary education, really showing young people, like, I see people who look like me doing these technical roles that I'm really interested in. And so what I've come to discover over my years of engagement with AWT and other groups in the Austin community is the obstacles start earlier than, like, when you're saying, oh, I'm a developer now, how do I get to the next level of my career? And so the obstacles start when they're in elementary school, and showing women that there are women in technical roles or in like semiconductor manufacturing, things where you don't even know what those roles look like. Seeing people that look like you there really helps set the path for success for women all the way through their journey through education and their career path. And so that carries forward, right? So there are some really big milestones on the journey of a young person to an adult where they, like, fall off of that bandwagon. And as they're coming through college and entering into the workforce, again, being able to see women in the space, whether it's in a developer role, in leadership, they're like, I want to get to that executive level. Having that representation and the connection of those young people finding their mentors or finding people that they can talk to about how they made it through that journey is so critical. And that's one of the big areas that we're kind of focused on right now.
Really neat. So are you reaching out into schools to help inform, educate, network, even just show I would say girls, women that are growing, hey, here's what the future could look like?
Yeah, for sure. And we do a lot of partnerships with other organizations that do that type of programming or provide panels, things like that, shadowing for roles. And I think Austin's really unique and special in how we manage workforce development and upskilling. Like AWT can definitely support that. We've got mentorship. We do partnership with groups to provide membership to our community, whether that's for students or things like that. But yeah, we're really trying to show that leadership and women in those roles. And then also by, placing women on panels with other orgs in the community or at conferences, things like that, to really show representation, and let them know we have this great bench of women who are in these roles, and getting them in the spotlight. Because I feel like sometimes women are a little more shy to step up and say, I'm a CTO, I got this, I'm going to go up and talk about my journey. They don't raise their hand as often to put themselves in the spotlight. So really trying to do that.
Awesome, really neat. I saw you guys have a number of events. Is that kind of like a monthly event around Austin, networking event? Tell me more about that.
Yeah, so we've got one core event that we do a month, and that we've got member-only happy hours. We do educational programming, maybe that's panels or hands-on workshops. And then we partner with some orgs in the community to do conferences and different things like that throughout the year. But our members get access to that one event a month. And then also we offer a yearly mentorship program that runs from September to March-ish, where we pair mentees that are members of the AWT, and that could be at any stage in their career, with mentors who come in and say, I want to support this. And those are men and women mentors, because we need allies and men in the space who have navigated this too. So yeah, that's a little bit about our events. And our next one upcoming in January, we've got a happy hour in December, but January is one of our flagship events called Who's Austin Hiring, where we focus on helping our community understand how to get jobs in Austin, what that pipeline looks like, from like an economic development lens, and then how tech and other CEOs are looking at hiring for the coming year.
Really neat. So you're the president of AWT. That's a volunteer role. So I'm kind of excited to talk to you today. I talk to lots of nonprofit leaders. Usually that is a staff position. This is a full-time job, and that's what they do all the time. You're a little bit different. You're on lots of boards running a company, your technology background, but more in a leadership role today in your company. So tell me a bit of your journey. How did you get from high school to education? And give us a quick flyover of the jobs you've had and then the roles you serve in today.
Yeah, for sure. So when I left high school, I went to college and thought I wanted to be a doctor. So I worked in outpatient radiology for about 8 years. Actually started that journey when I was 16 and worked in that until my mid-20s, and got my undergrad education in neuroscience and business. And as I was going through, I also spent some time as a nursing assistant, and I was like, I don't know that this hands-on clinical is for me. But I found science in the STEM field really interesting, which is why I got the neuroscience degree. People were like, what? But it was great. It was fascinating. And that was in Dallas, and I left Dallas and I thought I was going to be in healthcare forever. And when I moved to Houston, that's where I landed next, ended up just meeting someone who said, hey, project management has transferable skills. Let's put you in this role while you're trying to find a healthcare gig in the commercial construction and furniture industry, because project management is project management. I was like, great, that sounds great. Let's give that a go. And ended up getting just completely sucked into that. So made a huge career pivot there, and ended up getting my MBA while I was in Houston on that journey doing, I started with project management, and then I really found myself digging into the back end of our database that ran all of our procurement, and started building some SQL queries and things like that, just being really curious. And that led me to more of the data analytics technical role that I ended up doing there. And then I moved to Austin, which is where I am now, after I finished my MBA, and came in to really do data mining, data analytics, give visibility into the business, do more of kind of that data technical mining, build some websites, did some really random stuff, and just found myself naturally moving towards using technology to help people be more efficient, more effective. This data's here, how do we mine it? I found it really fascinating. And when I moved to Austin, my CEO, Beth, I came in more of a data analytics role, like I mentioned. She's like, we need to meet our customers in a different space. And at that point, I was at a commercial furniture dealership. We're like, how do we kind of B2C style meet our customers? Austin's got a lot of tech companies. They move very quickly. They want that consumer-based interaction. And she was like, I want to build technology to do that. And I said, great, let's do it. Let me figure out how. And so I joined Austin Women in Technology. I did a lot of research about orgs in the community to help me find camaraderie in the tech space, because I had never built a software platform in my life. And at the same time, I went back to school at MIT in a global innovation program to do digital transformation, learn more about that, and that was great. That helped me significantly understand how to manage a developer team and build a custom SaaS. And then we did it, and spent about 4 years building a couple iterations of that project. And now I am at our sister company. We're a professional services firm, and I'm more internal facing. So I'm chief technology officer, responsible for all of our like network infrastructure, hardware, software, how software runs our business, and it's been a really wonderful journey.
That's awesome. Some people start their career, at age 18, 19, 20 and set a course for that and they follow that plan. It sounds like you have seen the forks in the road along the way and gone, I'll go that way or I'll go that way. What would you tell yourself, your 16 or 18-year-old self on that, starting out that journey?
I reflect on this a lot because I've made some really big pivots and changes. And the first time I did it was like the most terrifying thing I've ever done, where I had a lot of self-doubt and I was like, I don't know if I can do this, but I'm going to figure it out. And I think if I could go back and, tell myself that I'm such a naturally curious person. Like, I wanted to be a physician when I was in high school. And then I had these experiences that made me go, like, I internalized I don't actually think that's what I want to do. And I had to become okay with that, right? And learn my path. And so, I think I feel blessed that I was able to understand that, and being lucky enough to have this kind of journey where I have carved my path. But it's because I really figured out where I was strong and had managers and leaders who said, hey, you've got this skill set, like, go do more of this thing over here. And I told them I was interested in those things. And so if I think about young people on their journey and trying to find their path, and also people becoming leaders, something that Beth and our SKG team here as leaders really try to do is put people in positions where they're leaning on those skills that they have innately. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, where we can kind of like craft a position. But we want our people to show up and be excited to be here, obviously, and then also use the skills that they have to bring the best to our customers, our business, bring their best selves forward. And I think that's part of that journey where people get so honed in on, like, I want to do this very specific thing. And some people end up being really great at it. But then being okay with the pivot and the flex, especially as the world is changing so quickly, technology is changing so quickly, how we run and operate businesses is changing every moment of every day. It's like exhausting to keep up with sometimes. So staying naturally curious and being okay with that flex, I think, will help people navigate those career transitions and find what they really, what brings them joy.
Yeah. I love what you just said. Something like figure out what skills people just have innately. Like, who are they at their core, and then put them in a role where those fit really well and let them flourish. Let them just run wild, because they don't have to, they're not batting left-handed. They're batting right-handed. I'm right-handed. They're batting right-handed, so that they have a high chance of hitting it, rather than saying, I'm going to force myself to do something that's not natural all day, every day. That's a hard spot to be. How cool that you accepted the change, embraced the change, and here you are today. I've heard a phrase, great leaders or successful people lead lots of things. And as you and I were talking earlier, there's many different things that you get to lead. AWT is one of those. You're the president, I believe, of the board. Is that correct now? The president of the organization. Is that a term limit? Is that for a couple of years, or do you not know when that ends?
No, we've got term limits, so 2 years, 2 year, and then we vote again on our next board. Yep.
That's great. So you're in that role for the time being, and Lord willing, you'll be back in the board seat and rotating back through that at some point. I hope that's the case. There's other organizations you're in the board of also. Give us a quick flyover of that, and then why spend your time, a lot of time, doing all these things that don't put any money into your pocket, that don't do anything to you other than be another line on your resume? Why do that? What is the driving force inside of you that makes you want to be involved in all these things?
Yeah, that is a great question. I get that question a lot because I am very, very engaged in the community. So in addition to AWT, I also serve on the board of a group called Workforce Solutions Capital Area, and they focus on a lot of different facets. They partner very heavily with the Workforce Commission and the City of Austin, and they have these groups in a bunch of different areas in Texas, but I'm on the one for Austin and the surrounding metro. And they focus on upskilling, reskilling, partnering with corporate and educational institutions on how we build a pipeline of workers and then get them into roles in Austin to keep people employed and what that looks like. And they do a lot around childcare. So I serve on that board. And for me, that passion comes from in our AWT community, looking at young people or people generally today. How do they upskill and reskill themselves? How do they find a job, make their next career move? We see a lot of layoffs in the world right now with the advancement of AI. And so I'm passionate about what Workforce Solutions and the Workforce Commission in Austin is doing to really help build a pipeline of workers and have corporate understand how to place those workers. And then I'm also on the advisory board for Truist Bank, which is a really unique and interesting opportunity. They're a very community engaged banking group and really passionate about helping people and businesses be set up for financial success. So that is probably of all the lifts, the lightest lift that I have of the boards. But, you asked why invest this time and energy into these things. And for me personally, I love people. I love the journeys that people go on. And I have been so grateful to the people that I've interacted with, whether it's been I'm in a mentor situation where I've got this great mentor and they're awesome, or this person that I just happen to interact with and meet at an event who got me in my next job or who helps me figure out how to navigate this difficult situation. And so for me, my passion comes from being able to provide that for other women and people in our community. Like, how do you find that space to connect with others, to grow yourself, to grow your career, to change your life, because you never know who you're going to interact with that will provide that for you. And I've been lucky to experience that many times. And I think that is the collusion of being in person, being connected, really coming together as a community. And so that's why I'm so passionate about AWT and what we do, because I found that when I joined. And man, I say this sometimes. I look back on or reflect on some of the things I asked in Slack when I first joined and I was managing this dev team. Mm-hmm. And I learned a lot in those 4 years. But I'm sure some people read those and went, she's going to build a tech platform, but you never know until you know, right?
Yeah,
So.
ready, fire, aim. That's kind of the way I live a lot of my life. I heard a friend of mine told me a long time ago, if you need to get something done, give it to a busy person to get it done, because busy people get things done. And you seem like you have a lot on your plate, but you're making an impact. Really neat to talk to you today, Emily. Thanks for the work you're doing across all those various organizations. What do you think the next 5 years look like for you personally? And then what are the next 5 years do you hope they look like for AWT?
Yeah, I think for AWT, I'm excited to see us continue to grow and break into some of the different technical areas that are coming to Austin, like healthcare tech, biotech, the semiconductor and 3D manufacturing space. So excited to get more growth there as Austin grows in those areas. For me personally, my board term for Workforce Solutions is 3 years. I'd love to move into more of a leadership role there and see what that could look like. And, for me, for work, we're focused on some high growth and other impact areas for work, and just really growing that in my skill set and learning more about whatever I can related to technology and cybersecurity. And then I don't know what 5 years will look like from now. I'll be excited.
Because there's not been a 5 year stint of you having like one consistent thing that you do. Every 5 years you're pivoting to something. So
Yeah.
I look forward to seeing that journey.
Yes.
There's a leader that I follow that says, if you ever wonder what to do, find a need and meet it. And it seems like you have been stepping into those areas and finding needs and meeting them and serving on boards and providing leadership. And I'm sure you have dozens of relationships outside of these official relationships that you're investing in people. So what you're doing is incredibly important. Emily, so good to talk to you today. Thanks for taking time to be in the podcast today.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure.
Have a good day.